The story that we tell ourselves has the ability to literally change our lives. Welcome. For those of you that are new here, my name is Julia, and I created Black Girl Start to be a space of inspiration for women, particularly Black women, who desire to change the stories of their lives. If you are in a space where you're considering a major life change, or you are in the midst of that change, I want to share something with you that really resonated with me, that I wish I had known at the beginning of my journey, in hopes that it inspires you to think a little bit more critically about the path that you're creating. Story time. I had a narrative that has defined my life for the past 12 years. And the story went a little something like this. I was a very creative child. I loved fashion design, and I wanted to go to school for fashion design. When I went to my mom and I told her about my desire, she told me, in so many words, to be practical, to go to school for accounting. And once I have my accounting degree and I can support myself financially, I can go back to school for fashion designing. So I followed her advice. Low-key, I did not have a choice. And you know what? She was right. I got my degree in accounting, and I spent 10 years of my life climbing the corporate ladder. And I was very successful in doing so. In those 10 years, I was able to work for some of the largest companies in the world. I lived up and through these United States chasing my career. And at the end of that decade run came COVID. And with COVID, I was in my tiny apartment in Seattle, isolated from my friends, my family, all the people that I loved. And I realized that this life that I have chosen, as lucrative as it was not fulfilling. This was around the time of George Floyd and the protests that were happening throughout the United States. And I was literally looking at spreadsheets while my people were dying in the street. So I decided to change my story completely. I left Seattle in search of a place that felt like home. I also left my good paying job and decided to do more meaningful work. And for me, that was work within my community, helping Black entrepreneurs start their businesses. At that point in which I had made the change, I had expected that now I would be living a fulfilled life. I was working and volunteering in the community, doing what I wanted to do. I got to partner with government agencies and university partners to create their own entrepreneurship program. And for the first year of living that life, it was great. My heart was full. However, by the second year, my cup was empty, and I couldn't quite figure out why. I knew that there was something that was missing, but I couldn't really tell what it was. I was doing the work that I wanted to do. I was living in the state that I wanted to live in, but yet again, I found myself feeling unfulfilled. And so last December, created a moment of reflection. And with that reflection, I realized that the story that I was telling myself was not quite complete. I shared going to school for accounting instead of fashion design, but I very conveniently forgot how I even had accounting as an option to begin with. Growing up, I was a child who enjoyed a challenge. In high school, when I got introduced to accounting, I loved it. I loved the feeling of solving problems, and I really had a knack for it. So when I went to my mother, I actually presented her with two options. It wasn't her telling me to go to school for accounting. It was me saying, I'm thinking about accounting and fashion designing. And of course, she chose accounting for me. That challenging spirit in me wanted to explore what life would have been like had I not pursued accounting. Remembering that element of my story that I had neglected, I realized why I was so unfulfilled. Doing community work, it fills your heart, don't get me wrong, but it was not the kind of challenge that I found mentally stimulating. No offense to anybody that's doing this. You are doing the Lord's work. Having leaned towards my creative side in pursuing community-driven work, I neglected components of myself that gave me energy, that spoke to my analytical and competitive spirit. So it was no surprise that I was feeling unfulfilled because there were components of me that I was not catering to with the choice that I had made. That revelation is what led me to the decision to go back to corporate full time. I'm thankful to say that the changes that I made in terms of finding a place that feels like home, creating a community, and making sure that I'm surrounded by the people that love and support me, 1000% that change was needed. The change to do community-driven work was also needed. However, the question that I will be exploring is in what capacity? So I hope for this year and for the story that I create ahead to find a way of living that is more balanced, that speaks to all of me. And I also reserve the right to get it wrong. I will continue to tweak the pieces of my story that are no longer serving me until I find the right one. My goal at the end of the day is to write a story that I can't wait to share. I hope that if you are on a similar journey or you're contemplating a similar journey, that you too will examine the story, the script that you hold on to. Examine it critically and ask yourself, is it complete? Is this perspective the only perspective or interpretation of this story that exists? And give yourself an opportunity to answer those questions honestly. I hope that this has helped someone, even if the only person it helps is me. If you found this story inspiring, I hope that you consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I will continue to document the lessons that I've learned here. And if you know of someone who is contemplating a similar life shift, I hope that you will share this video with a friend so they can find some encouragement or inspiration in my story. Until next time, take care.